Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick info before we begin. Today's video has two stories. The first one has 2 updates and the second one has 1 update. Now let's get started. This post is from the subreddit True of My Chest and it's by user Honeyed Spice and Honey Spiced too, cause she lost access to her first account. Soon everyone will know he's been messing with his stepmother and stepsister. For a little while I've suspected my husband of cheating. I didn't have any justification for thinking or feeling this way, but I couldn't stop having this gut feeling that something was wrong. So I decided to keep a closer eye on him, and I still found nothing. And for a long time I was angry with myself for suspecting him and for invading his privacy. We went to marriage counseling and I apologized for breaking his trust in me, and for a little while all was well. I can't believe I apologized to that lying sack of crap. But that wretched feeling never went away. I tried so hard to get over this feeling that he was deceiving me in some way and I just couldn't. So I decided it was time to hire a private investigator instead of playing Inspector Gadget myself. Let me tell you, this was the best thing I've ever spent money on. Within a month, the private investigator was able to confirm my suspicions. But it was a shock to find out that it was his stepsister and his stepmother. Not only that, but he may also be the father of his stepsister's newborn baby. I could have ended his life, but I kept my composure and I kept this information to myself and continued to act as normal as possible. Believe me, that was a very difficult thing to do. I then slowly started detaching from him and even moved into our spare bedroom and we continued to drift apart. Then I moved out, got a new job and started saving money for our divorce. I got my life in order. Now, here we are, almost a year later in the final stages of our divorce and I have still not told anyone. I've spent the last year preparing for our divorce because I'll be damned to leave this marriage empty-handed. I wanted to handle our financial affairs first, because my husband works for his father and I didn't want to leave him unemployed during our divorce process. This son of a see you next Tuesday dragged out our divorce and fought me for everything, even things that were mine to begin with. But I kept my calm and I won't say a word until I get everything I deserve. That's when I'll tell his father, and his father is not a man to be messed with. I've been assured the check will clear in 3 days or less, and it's over for Robert because as soon as that money hits my account, his mother, stepmother, stepsister, brother-in-law, and father will receive a beautifully written email with pictures and videos of what he has been up to. His dad will tear him apart. Count your days, Robert. Opie's edit. I got my money. Time to send it. Opie's edit too. His stepmother and stepsister do not know about each other. I don't know how long he has been sexually involved with them, but I do know it started in adulthood for all involved. Alright, well, I'm pretty sure you guys are asking, hey, what about the comments and what about your commentary? Thing is, all the comments were like, update me, update me, update me, and there's nothing to say really. OP had everything planned out and she executed it. So we just need to move on to the first of 2 updates to take a look at the initial aftermath, because after that, there's a bit more. Can't seem to access my original account, so here I am. Let's clear some things up. When Robert's father remarried, Robert was already a 30-year-old man, so no, he wasn't sexually groomed, and his stepsister was 31 when she met him. Again, no one here is being sexually abused. All involved were already well into adulthood when they met and when they started to F around. As for the money, well honeys, that's money he owed me but was being a douche about giving it back. I invested in his business ventures and he refused to pay me my share. And that's not crap I was willing to let slide. You can't get a broke man to pay his debt. So F yes, I wasn't going to let him be unemployed during our divorce. Also, he thought I was divorcing him for being emotionally manipulative and a neglectful husband, as well as cheating with other women. There were others the personal investigator had discovered. I just didn't tell him I knew about his stepsister and stepmother. Now that all is cleared up, let me share with you all the aftermath. I sent the email as soon as I saw the money had hit my account. The first to call me was Robert, and I picked up. The first words out of his mouth were, "You evil ass bitch." I replied with, "Your mama," and I ended the call. The second person to call me was stepsister's husband. He was just heartbroken. He asked me a ton of questions and he asked for my divorce lawyer's information. We also discussed him getting a DNA test for all their kids. Through brother-in-law, I found out that there was an all-out war between stepmother and father-in-law. He tried to kick her out, but she locked herself up in the bedroom. While father-in-law was throwing her crap outside, stepmother-in-law called her daughter for help. At some point, stepsister and stepmother got into a fight. The fight was so bad that the neighbors called the police. In the scuffle to separate mother and daughter, they hurt one of the police officers and were arrested. They are still in jail because neither of them has anyone willing to bail them out. The following day, I got a call from Robert telling me that his daddy almost ran him over, so he wanted to come to stay with me because he was scared that his daddy or brother-in-law will try to beat his ass again. Robert is scared to go home. His dad and brother-in-law are pretty much camped outside of his place and have already jumped him twice. Robert is terrified. He tried to stay with his mother and she told him that he had made his bed and should now lie in it. FYI, I am not done with Robert yet. I've got more planned for him. Oh wow, you just have to admire a well-executed and thought-out plan. OP had to bide her time for about a year and she didn't want him to lose his job because she wanted to get paid. I admire OP's strength in all of this. Also, considering the video that I posted on Monday and the fact that the brother-in-law is gonna get a DNA test on all the children, I'm pretty sure the topic is going to come up again, so I'll just give you guys the same context that I wrote in the comment section of that video. After reading the almost 2,000 comments in that comment section, I agree with you all. I agree with a DNA test being done at birth to sort out the proper birth certificate and to also avoid any kind of child misplacement by the hospital. If it's done this way, then nobody needs to ask for one, so nobody will be implying that the other is cheating. And my whole point in that other video was about trust and how that if you just ask for a paternity test, it obviously comes with the implication that you don't trust your partner because you think they're cheating. Anyways, I just wanted to take advantage of the fact that this topic came up again so that I could address that bit that I put in the comment section in case any of you didn't get to read that context. So how about we move on to the comment section to see what the community thinks about all of this, and then we're gonna finish this story with the final update. Aquabenatu says, "Bravo! And you said there's more? I don't know if this is a Spanish telenovela or an episode of Jerry Springer. Then again, truth is stranger than fiction." On a more serious note, OP, please make sure your ex does not show up at your place. Get cameras, contact the police in advance, tell his mother, etc. Because he's desperate and he will show up at anyone's residence for a temporary safe haven. Protect yourself. Veloxoraptor says, completely gobsmacked that he had the testicular fortitude to ask the woman he leeched off, neglected, treated like crap, cheated on with several other women, and dragged through a messy divorce if he could stay with her. I'm sorry, but your ex has absolutely no survival instincts at all. Absolutely nothing going on in that noggin if he thinks his request is even marginally acceptable after all the crap he's done. Seriously, how the F did he make it through life this far with an IQ in the negatives? Mist M3 says, so glad you finally got to give the information and get away from him. I'd tell him to stop calling my phone. I'm not his wife. Maybe he should go stay with his other two women if he's so worried about it. You're not his safe haven anymore, and he's not your problem. Hope he has a good time getting what he deserves for being a slimy little crap. Custard Head 5471 says, oh my god, the chain of events is crazy. I am so invested in this that I hope we get another update soon. I laughed when he dared to ask to stay with you. Usually, I am trying to have sympathy for the other person, but I don't in this case. How cliché the two women being wrong but going against each other instead of being mad at the guy. They're all in jail for F's sake. I can't even with this. I love the end. I am not done with him. I don't play girl, BBFR says, OP, don't let Robert stay with you. From what I recall, you're nothing but an evil-ass bitch. Girl, like his mama said, he made his bed, now he can lie in it. Why would you want your ex-husband, who screwed his stepmom and stepsister in your house, to ever be around you again? Let him suffer. These are simply the consequences of his own actions. 3 laughing faces. I'm itching for an update. You're a queen. I am glad you made that floozy realize you weren't the bitch to F with. Well, the community's absolutely invested in this, so am I, and I'm hoping so are you. So how about we move on to the final update to see how this story ends, but of course it's that time where I'm going to recommend another one of my playlists like this one that only has updated stories in it, so you can check it out after this video. Now let's move on to that final update. Ex-sister-in-law is in deep doo-doo as the results for the DNA tests came back and 0 out of the 3 are his. Ex-brother-in-law is distraught. She doesn't even know who else could be the father. Heifer, how many men have you been betting besides your husband and mine? Don't worry, I'll find out. Like, I knew she was a trifling old bag of bones, but I never knew she was this cold. None of the children, baby included, are a match for Robert or her soon-to-be ex-husband. Ex-brother-in-law didn't test for whether the children had the same paternal lineage because he didn't think of that. He was kind of hoping the kids were his, so it wasn't on his mind that she was cheating on him with multiple men. Brother-in-law has decided to cut ties for his own sanity, as he feared he might act in a way that is outside of his character. Now, I feel bad for those babies, but I understand why he had to leave. Did we, ex-brother-in-law and I, give a copy of the DNA test results to everyone she knows? Yes, we did. Did I personally go out of my way to darken the steps of a church and make my testimony and hand out copies of the DNA results? I sure did. Ex-mother-in-law and her daughter have cut ties and are silently hating each other, but they are image obsessed, so they keep things cute and silent. But a heathen like myself prefers to be cute and audible. And I haven't forgotten dear mother. So I went and gave my testimony in front of her beloved peers and read out a couple of the vilest text messages she and my ex-husband exchanged. There were a lot of gasps and screaming, but I kept reading for as long as I could. I sure effing did. Unfortunately, I couldn't read more before I was dragged out and then attacked by ex-mother-in-law and ex-sister-in-law, but I handled that and they have never lunged at me or threatened me with physical violence again. Now, more about Robert. Over the years, he has moved as shady in his legal business as his personal life. And as a law-abiding citizen, I felt compelled to inform the taxman of his dealings, as well as informing his former business partners and current ones. I also did some legally ambiguous things to Robert that I don't want to put into writing, but he's no longer slinging penis as if his life depended on it. That testicular fortitude he once had is slipping away. He just doesn't have that pep in his step anymore. It's hard to remain so casual when there are a couple of men hoping to catch you and an ex-wife who still has him on Find My Redacted. Robert's life is in tatters and well, I love that. I love that for him. And that's it. That's all OP has written so far regarding this whole thing. However, I will keep an eye out just in case OP decides to give us a little bit more information regarding this whole story. So on that note, OP, congratulations, tip of the hat to you. I think you've done a fantastic job. You held your own, you kept your eyes on the prize, and you followed through perfectly. Thank you for sharing and all the best in the future, OP. Now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Saddened Alone Initially. Am I the a-hole for cancelling a trip and refusing to pay my friend back for flights? I am currently on a semester abroad in Italy until Easter from the UK. My friend Polly wanted to come and visit at the end of next month. We had been talking about this trip and planning dates for ages, and she still hadn't booked anything, which is obviously fine. However, in the meantime, I had been having some mental health issues and family drama and would like to go home to my parents around the time she is supposed to visit. It is the only time that my family will be free when flights are affordable for me to go home. 3 days ago, I sent Polly a long message explaining the situation and that I was sorry I would not be able to host her at the time we had planned for her to visit. She had still not booked anything at the time, but immediately seemed a bit defensive and sent me a message saying, "This is the only time I will be free to visit you. Can I come on specific dates? I can book flights today. Is that okay?" I immediately, within 30 minutes, replied saying, "No, I'm sorry. As I explained, I would now like to go home at the time we had been planning the visit. And in any case, the first 2 days of your trip aren't what we discussed, and I have always been unable to host you at that time due to specific commitments. Normally, I would say to book 2 days later, but as I said, I really need to prioritize my mental health and go home at that time if possible." She didn't respond again until the next day and told me that she had already booked flights before checking whether I'd reply and that she was expecting me to host her on the dates she had outlined. To be honest, I was quite shocked by this and told her I couldn't host her then and that she should have checked my response to her questions before booking the flights. She is now very angry and insisting that I should pay her back for the cost of her flights, around £100, which is a lot for either of us. But I told her that this shouldn't be my responsibility as she should have double-checked with me before spending the money. I later offered to refund half as a peace offering, but she said this wasn't anywhere near good enough. Polly told our mutual friends the situation and they're all saying that I'm an a-hole and should pay her back in full as she and her family apparently have no money. I'm devastated to have lost this friendship on top of everything else going on in my life and really confused about whether I'm in the wrong. So, am I the a-hole for cancelling this trip and refusing to refund my friend for her flight tickets? What? No, OP, of course not. Your friend's an idiot. And you guys can't see me, but right now I'm playing a really teeny tiny violin for Polly. You had already cancelled the whole trip, and if she was truly your friend, she would also prioritize your mental health above her holiday, which apparently she can't even afford. So just like she was able to book her flights without even consulting you, I'm sure she can book a hostel or an Airbnb or something like that, but this is on her and she needs to figure it out. It's not your fault. Also, regarding all of your friends, I'm pretty sure they don't have the whole story and Polly's manipulating the narrative. So if you do want to try to salvage those friendships and you have the strength to call out Polly, then I would just share all the information with those friends and then let them decide having the full story. And by information, I mean screenshots of the text messages. So yeah, OP, not the a-hole, just take care of yourself and go home. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Bop, 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 doo-wop says, to sum up, you've been planning, and in all that time, she didn't book tickets. You sent her a message saying you couldn't host, and then she did book tickets. Not the a-hole. Retract the offer to refund and clarify the actual situation with your friends. Johnny Fakiname says, definitely not the a-hole. She asked, you answered, and she went ahead and acted without knowing the answer. You don't owe her a thing, but you did learn that she was not much of a friend to begin with. Don't be too devastated. I guarantee the story she gave your mutual friends was to the effect that you told her to book the flight and then reneged. If they knew your side, they wouldn't be saying you're the a-hole. IATA Addicted 25 says, not the a-hole, and don't refund her anything. I grew up poor. I didn't have £100, so I wouldn't spend it on travel. She was clearly guilt-tripping you to stay for free at your house and now claiming to be poor so you refund her. Your circumstances changed, but she didn't care, which shows she wasn't your friend to start. Tell your friends the truth and don't allow a user to upset you. Your mental well-being is more important. Well, it's a clear-cut case. The whole community agrees that OP is not the a-hole. So now, let's move on to the update to see what happened next and how the story ends. To the people who said Polly was lying about booking a flight because it seemed suspiciously cheap, she could have cancelled within 24 hours, she booked on a cheap UK airline and this is fairly standard pricing. Plus, their cancellation or refund policies are what you'd expect from an airline where they charge you extra just to sit next to the person you booked with. She's many things, but not a total liar. She definitely booked after I told her not to. After everything blew up with Penny, we didn't speak for a couple of weeks. I talked it over with my parents and they said that I was under absolutely no obligation to pay her a penny, which I agree with, as did all of this sub. However, they suggested that I could offer to pay a small amount, like 20% of the fare, in the interest of salvaging the friendship. I liked this idea as I was still feeling so heartbroken and didn't want to throw away 10 plus years of friendship if avoidable. So I sent her a message explaining that I didn't feel I owed her any money for her mistake, but that I really cared about her and our friendship, and that I would be willing to make a small contribution if it meant that we could meet on happier terms in the future and resume our friendship. Well, she left me on red for over a month. She did eventually reply to tell me that I should still pay the full fare, claiming she was seconds away from booking when I originally spoke to her, and then messaged me a reminder of this a few days later. That second day was my birthday, and she sent me no well wishes along with it, just a reminder that she wanted money. I'd finally been pushed over the edge. I was absolutely raging and told her it was unacceptable to message me crap like this on my birthday. That was the last time we spoke, and I've now blocked her on everything. It also turns out she didn't tell as many of our mutual friends as I thought. One of them is no longer speaking to me. I've tried to reach out, but she's ignoring me, so I'm leaving it because who needs people like that? Another pair had heard the story and said they wanted to remain neutral, which makes me think they didn't hear the whole truth, but I can't be bothered to push it as they're still cool with me and don't really care about the poly drama. I'm feeling great now, things are going well with my family, and I'm really enjoying my last few months of a semester abroad. I've made some good friends and I'm having the best time. I wish all the drama had never happened, but I'm grateful to have seen the true colors of someone I would have continued to trust otherwise. Thanks for all the support on here. Well, OP, good riddance to Polly and that other idiot you called a friend. I do have to say that if it was me, I would have exposed Polly for the crap person that she was. But of course, it's your choice not to do so. In any case, it's good to know that you're doing great and that you're enjoying your time abroad. So all that there's left to say is, OP, I wish you all the best in the future and take care. Thank you for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.